Hamas claimed to have returned the body of an additional hostage last night, and forensic testing revealed that the remains belonged to a deceased hostage whose body had already been partially returned.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire. He's calling together his cabinet to consider a response. CBN News correspondent Joshua Swanson reports from Jerusalem.
Israel had hoped for the return of another hostage's body. However, the Health Ministry's National Center of Forensic Medicine determined that the body is not one of the 13 who remain in Gaza, but additional remains of a hostage that's already been returned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this constitutes a clear violation of the agreement by the terrorist organization Hamas. It's now been a week since Hamas last turned over a hostage. Netanyahu will convene a meeting today to discuss Israel's response. Meanwhile, there's evidence that the Palestinian Authority, despite promises to reform, continues its pay-to-slay policy of paying terrorists who attacked Israel. Itamar Marcus from the watchdog group Palestinian Media Watch confirmed this. Payments proceeded as usual, and recipients confirmed receiving half their monthly stipends. This comes months after European leaders praised what they believed were reforms and pledged more than $230 million in new funding to the PA. Back in September, Netanyahu told Fox News that he did not expect the Palestinian Authority to change.
Pay for slay, they pay terrorists to murder Jews, and the more Jews they murder, the more the pay. If all of that is turned on its head, there's a tremendous transformation, well, good luck. Some people will believe it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
Turkey's President Erdogan continues his push for a role in Gaza under a proposed international stabilization force. But Israeli leaders say no way, citing Erdogan's open defense of Hamas and his support for its leaders.
Erdogan led hostile approach against Israel. So it is not reasonable for us to let their armed forces enter to Gaza Strip.
Speaking from Air Force One, with President Trump at his side, Secretary of State Marco Rubio showed continued solidarity with Israel.
Israel didn't surrender its right to self-defense. Obviously, the ceasefire is based on obligations on both sides.
Even Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE oppose Erdogan's plan, fearing it would empower instead of disarm Hamas. In Qatar, there are revelations that the government's main spokesman has applauded past Palestinian terror attacks against Israel. Joshua Swanson, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, Israel continues to be surrounded by enemies, whether it's Erdogan in Turkey. He's obviously part of the Muslim Brotherhood, embraces firmly their ideology. The Qatari leadership firmly in the Muslim Brotherhood camp. They're one of the main funders of Hamas through the decades, and as high as $30 million a month. I mean, you look at these numbers and it's absolutely incredible. But here's the amazing thing to me, that the governments of Europe, so here are supposedly enlightened nations saying we're going to now fund the Palestinian Authority, $230 million, right in the middle of an obvious scandal on pay to slay, where the released prisoners in the prisoner exchange, hostages for prisoners, they now get a financial reward based on how many Jews they killed. And they're using European money to pay that. It's absolutely stunning to me. When is the world going to wake up to this, that this is the main enemy here? And the target has been Israel, whether it's at the UN or the EU or in college campuses right here in America, talking these fake claims of genocide. Hamas is absolutely evil. They're playing games with cadavers. It just doesn't make any sense to say we're going to continue to support that. We're going to continue to fund that. Let's get some real common sense here. Recognize who's the true enemy, who's the murderous death cult that's trying to wipe out Israel, who's truly trying to have a genocide, and let's let that truth maintain our foreign policy, how we deal with these terrorists, how we deal with Turkey, how we deal with Qatar. Let's have common sense, and it's amazing to me you're seeing more common sense out of Saudi Arabia than you are the EU. So let's get on board this game of no longer are we on this game. We're not going to continue to fund pay for slay. We're not going to continue to fund terrorism and rocket attacks against Israel. We're not going to let a hostile army get into Gaza so that the war can continue. We want peace, and we want peace that will endure.